Hey guys, welcome back to T-Bones Tech. Today's video is my beginner guide to the brand new Canon SL3. That being said, let's start out with the basics. So first we have to give power to this Canon SL3, and we're going to do so by putting the LPE17 battery inside the camera. So the battery slot is going to be located here at the bottom of the camera, and we're going to open it by pressing down and pushing over here to the right, and it's just going to swing open like that. Then we are going to place the battery in with the arrow and the Canon facing the front of the camera, just like this. We're going to push it all the way in until we hear a click, just like that, and now our camera is going to be secure. And next we're also going to place the SD card in the camera, and we're going to place it in with the text facing down, just like this, and again we're going to push it in until we hear a little click, just like that, and now our SD card is inside. Then we're just going to close the panel until we hear a click, just like that, and now we are good to go, and our camera is now powered on. Now that the SL3 is powered, we're going to put on a lens. So we're going to twist the protective cover off counterclockwise, so it comes off just like this, and we're going to do the same here on the protective cover of the lens. Again, twist it counterclockwise, it's just going to pop right off. Now this lens is an EF lens, not an EFS lens, so we're going to line up the red circle here on the lens to the red circle here on the camera body. So simply line them up until it's attached, and then we're just gonna twist clockwise until we hear a snap, just like that, and now we are good to go and ready to start taking photos. Now that we have the lens attached, we are ready to turn the camera on. We're just going to twist it around just like this, and we are going to flip out the tilt screen just like this, so our screen is going to be exposed here. And then here on the top of the camera, we can see our on-off button, and we're just gonna turn it one tick to the on position, and then the camera is going to turn on. There are 7 different modes here on the mode dial. The first one is going to be automatic, and that's what we're going to be talking about. It's going to be probably best for most beginners because the camera is going to completely control the scene. So basically in this mode, you're just going to press down the shutter to take a picture, and it's going to usually actually leave you with some pretty decent results. The camera is going to make all the decisions for you, so it's gonna be really easy, and what I recommend for most beginners who don't know much about different camera settings. Okay, so the next mode here is going to be our program mode, and it's going to be a little bit more advanced from the automatic mode. Here it's actually going to allow us to actually change the exposure of our picture. So by hitting the Q here, we can actually make the picture brighter or darker just by changing it right here. So if we want it to be 3 stops darker, we can move all the way down here to the 3. That's going to give us 3 stops darker, so our picture is going to be much darker than it is going to be if it was shot here at the 0. So we'll test this out by taking the picture right now, and we're going to see that it was much darker here than it was on the original. Okay, so that was 3 stops underexposed. Let's do 1 stop overexposed and see the difference. So just take a picture right here, and as you guys can see, there was much slower shutter speed, and we can see how much brighter this picture was than it was when we shot it at 3 stops underexposed. So basically, this is going to be a very advanced automatic mode on your camera, so you're not really knowing what you're changing with this mode, but it really does still do a good job to make your pictures brighter or darker right in the camera, and it's pretty useful for beginners. The next mode we have here is going to be our shutter priority mode, and as we can see here, you can use a slow shutter speed and get a nice movement, or you can freeze the movement by using a faster shutter speed. So with this mode enabled, when you turn the shutter speed dial here, it's actually going to change the shutter speed. So by clicking all the way over here, we can use a very fast shutter speed, which is going to give us a more darker image. As you guys can see here, you can barely see it. Or by stopping down our shutter speed, we're going to get more light in the sensor. So let's take this picture, and here we can see it's a little bit brighter than it was before. Again, we'll stop down a little bit more here, and now we can see that the picture is going to be nice and bright. So this is going to be our shutter priority mode, and it's going to be very handy and nice. And next here we have AV mode, which is going to be our aperture priority mode. It's going to allow us to change the aperture to get some nice shallow depth of fields or some nice deep depth of fields, as you guys can see from that quick little example. So here when we change the dial here on the top, it's going to adjust our aperture. So I'm actually going to zoom in here, and we're going to take a picture all the way wide open to get some nice background blur. So we're gonna take a picture right here, and we're going to see this really nice looking bokeh, and that's because we shot at f4. But if you were to stop down all the way to f16, we're not going to get near the same quality of bokeh. So let's take a picture here and compare the difference. So as you guys can see, the shutter speed is staying open much longer because it was shot at f16. So the camera is going to automatically use a very slow shutter speed. And here, if we preview the picture, we can see that it's much sharper here than it was at f4, where it was nicely blurred. So that's going to be the difference here in aperture priority mode. Okay, so next we're going to shoot in manual mode. So we're going to move the mode dial over to manual, and now we're going to hit the Q to unlock it. And here in manual mode, we're going to be able to completely control the camera. So we're going to tell the camera what to do, and it's going to follow the steps, even if it's going to lead us to absolutely terrible pictures. And we're just going to take a picture here using these settings, 1/60th of a second, f4, and ISO 1600. So let's just take a picture and see what we get. So here it seems like we get a nicely picture and the exposure is actually going to be pretty nice. Now if we want the picture to be even brighter, we're going to stop down our shutter speed. So just bring down the shutter speed all the way to 1/15th of a second, and that's going to give us probably, yep, an overexposed picture just like this. So we're going to actually just bring our shutter speed back up to 1/60th of a second, and then we're going to mess around with our aperture now. So we're going to stop down our aperture all the way to f5.6, and we're going to take a picture. f5.6 is going to be a smaller aperture, which is going to give us a deeper depth of field, but it's also going to make our picture a little bit darker because we have less light coming into the camera sensor. So let's take a picture here at f5.6. And here at f5.6, we can see the picture got a little bit darker. Next up we have here is going to be our ISO speed. And here we can stop up or stop down our ISO. So using a lower ISO is going to give us darker results. So we'll take a picture here at ISO 100, and the photo should probably be mostly black. And here we can see it is mostly black. Now, if we use a high ISO of something like ISO 6400, our picture is going to be much brighter. Now, most of the time we're going to want to stay away from high ISOs because the higher ISO number you're using, so the more to the right here, the worse quality we're going to get because our camera is going to be making more guesses as to what the actual colors are going to be, because our camera sensor is actually going to be using more sensitivity to guess what the colors are. It's going to get a little bit more inaccurate, so you want to choose a lower F number if you want the sharpest possible results. Okay, so next up we have our creative filters mode, and this is kind of silly. There's nothing too much here. Definitely no pro photographers are ever going to be really using this, but we can use soft focuses, a water painting color. So let's just take a picture and see what that gives us. Just for a quick little example. And yeah, it's weird. I don't really recommend using it too often, but it's kind of fun to play around with a little bit. Next, we have a much more important mode and much better mode, the last mode we're going to be talking about, and that's our special scene mode. And it's a very, very handy and powerful automatic tool, which is really going to help make your pictures very, very good, even if you don't know a lot about photography. So in this special scene mode, we can actually tell the camera what we are shooting, and then the camera is going to make all the right decisions for us. So here we can see a portrait mode, then we can see a smooth skin mode, a group photo mode, so it's going to probably use a slower aperture to get everything in focus, everybody's face in focus rather than just focusing on one person. Then we have a landscape mode with a wide depth of field, sports mode, and then a whole bunch of other modes that you guys can see all built in right here, all under one mode. It's going to have a night portrait mode, just a ton of really cool modes along with an HDR mode that are really going to make your shooting very, very good and very easy with the camera doing all the work. That way you don't have to learn tons of information about how photography actually works. Basically just point and shoot and tell the camera what it's shooting. That way it can make a better guess as to what settings to use. It's very cool and very powerful. Now, if you want to take high quality video with the SL3, you're going to switch to video mode. So we're going to move the on-off dial all the way to the video mode, and now we can start taking videos. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about changing the settings here. So to change settings here in video mode, we're just going to use the bottom dial here, and here we can change all the different settings right here, our shutter speed, our aperture, and our ISO, all right from the fly right here. It's going to be super easy and simple to change them all. Now we're going to talk about focus. So we're going to the Q button, and here we can see our different focusing. So here's going to be our basically our dual pixel AF tracking right here. It's going to be our face tracking. That's the main mode we're going to want to use. With this auto-focusing system enabled, we can tap to focus on different things on the screen, and it's actually going to pull them in or out of focus. And then there's going to be a couple of other different autofocusing modes right here. It's going to be by far the best system right here. Next up, we actually can change our video resolution. So we can change that right here. And as you guys can see, we're filming full 1080p video at 30 frames a second. If you want to shoot full 1080p video at 60 frames a second, we can go over here. And now we can see that we're recording 1920 by 1080 video at 60 frames a second. And if we want to record 4K, watch this very closely, it's actually going to have a 1.6 times crop factor. So the camera is actually going to zoom in just like this to record that video. But we're not going to talk about the crop a lot in today's video, but that is going to be how to record 4K video. Now to actually record a video, right now we're just going to, again, have the camera in the video mode, and we're just going to press this little button right here on the top of the camera, and it's going to start recording the video. And of course, to stop it, we're just going to press the button again. Now, if we want to review the photos or videos that we took, we're going to press this button right here, all the way here on the bottom. And this is going to be a little blue square. We're going to give that a press right here. and pressing that, it's actually going to pull up the different photos or videos that we have taken. Now if we want to play back the video, we can just tap up and it's going to start playing back the video, which is going to be very nice and very easy to use and understand. Okay, so now let's head over to the menu for some more advanced features. So we're just going to press the menu button right here, and now we're going to get tons of really in-depth information. So the first thing here is going to be our image quality. So here we can choose RAW or JPEGs. JPEGs are going to be universal. Basically every computer or phone can actually read JPEGs, but unfortunately a lot of computers cannot read RAW pictures very easily. So if you want max compatibility, you're going to want to shoot in JPEG, and you're going to suffer a little bit of a loss in image quality. Or if you want to shoot with the best image quality and the max amount of information preserved, you're going to want to shoot in RAW. We're going to do that in JPEG here for today. And then we can go down and see some more settings like the image review. So after you take a picture, it's going to show you that picture for 2 seconds. We can make that longer or shorter here, or actually completely turn it off, or just leave a hold so it's just going to stay on the screen until you make an action on that. Next, we're going to see here in the second dial, we can see our drive mode. So here we can change the different modes. So first one by default is going to be single shooting. We can do continuous to take pictures even faster. Tons of different modings here along with silent shooting modes and a 2-second timer. So here's a 2-second timer. We'll actually demonstrate that right now. And we'll do so by just taking a picture. And it's going to make a timer sound. And then as you guys can see here, it actually just took the picture. So it's going to be our 2-second timer mode. So we'll actually just switch that back to single shooting. That's going to be great if you have a camera on a tripod. It's gonna be great to just have a quick little timer like that. Then we can see our exposure compensation. By default, it's going to be here at 0, but we can actually stop it up or stop it down if the camera keeps underexposing or overexposing. We can adjust that right here in the menu. Super easy and nice. Then we have our ISO speed settings, and here we can actually limit the max ISO in automatic, which is going to be pretty easy and handy. Next, we're going to see here that we can change our white balance. So we can do a custom white balance here, or we can actually just choose and tell the camera what we are shooting. That's going to be very handy as well. Now we can go over to the 5th section, and here we can see long exposure noise reduction. We're going to usually want to turn that off, even though I think by default it's going to be on. And then also high ISO noise reduction. Again, we're gonna want to turn that off. Next is going to be our playback settings, and there's really not a ton of different information right here. You guys can definitely play around with it, but nothing too crazy to know as far as that goes. But next we're going to talk about the wireless settings. And I'm actually going to do a full video on how to set up Wi-Fi and Bluetooth on your smartphone with this camera. So it's gonna be a whole nother video right there, but it's very helpful and actually super easy to actually figure that out. And then next we have our function settings. So this menu and then our shooting settings are going to be by far the most popular menus that you're using all the time. And here we can actually just select where we want the pictures to go. And then we can see here on the bottom, there's going to be a format card. So if we format the card, it's going to delete everything off the card. So you want to be very careful. But as soon as you get a new camera, you're going to want to format it and just erase everything off the card and start from scratch. It's going to really save you in the long end. Now we're going to go over to the 2 section here. And here we can see some auto power settings to help save battery. And we're also going to see our screen brightness settings. So if we can actually press on that, we can actually change our screen brightness and make it brighter or darker depending on what we like. Super easy and simple, just like that. We're also going to see the time and date that we can change right here very easily. And then next we can see our sensor cleaning. So to clean the sensor, we can actually just clean it just by pressing that. We're not going to do that, but super easy. And then we can also see our battery info. So we can see how good the recharge performance is, and we can also see our battery life right here. That's very good to know. Now we can actually enable or disable that little beep that keeps happening. So we'll actually just disable that because we're filming a video right now. So disable that. And now when I tap things, there's not going to be a beep or anything like that. It's going to be pretty handy. And then here are just a few other HDMI output resolutions. We can do a full HDR output. And we can also change the resolution for the HDMI here as well. And then last but not least, we have our custom functions here. And it's going to give us some more information that's very in-depth, and we're not going to talk about that in today's video either. And last but not least, we're going to talk about our display settings. And here we can actually just change what we want it to look like. So this is going to be the standard by default, but this is going to be the guided. So if you are more of a professional, you're going to want it probably on the standard, or if you want it on the very simple beginner user, you're going to want it here on the guided. And it kind of goes like that for all these. It's going to have a little guided to show you the difference here on the main menu. And we can also see the mode guide. It's going to tell us the difference, and it's going to tell us the difference of modes that we're shooting and give us those handy little previews. But if you already know everything, you're going to want to definitely go ahead and disable that. So that's about it for the Canon SL3. If you guys have any questions, make sure to leave me them in the comment section down below. I'll try to answer all the questions that I get. But that's all I got for you guys in this video. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up down below. And of course, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any new videos that are released just like this one to my YouTube channel. But again, that's all I got for you guys in this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.